Proverbs 16:28 says, "A perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends." How many of you have ever at least had a damaged relationship with a friend over gossip? Everybody in the room. So somebody has to go first. And you know, everything that the Bible talks about, this isn't my Bible, don't know why I'm pointing at it, but everything that the Bible talks about oftentimes is about reaping and sowing and reaping. What you plant is what you get. So if I want to be a good friend, or if I want to have good friends, I need to be a good friend. My son, who's now 9, when he was in Mother's Day Out, when he was a little bitty boy, he planted one of those little beans in a cup. Everybody done that, right? And you plant your little bean seed and you take your cup home, and he was about 3 and he brought his little cup home and it was in the window, and he was sure to water it every day and make sure it got sun, you know. And one day I came in and he's just sitting there looking at his little cup, and I said, "Jake, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm waiting for my flower to grow." I said, "Well, Jake, I don't think it's going to be a flower." "Well, I want a flower." I said, "Well, did you plant a flower?" "No, I planted a bean. But I want a flower." Is he ever going to get one? No matter how bad he wishes, no matter how much he cried, when that thing grows, it's going to be a bean. If I act like a jerk to my friends, I gossip behind their back, I lash out when I'm a little bit emotional, I'm not dependable, I'm not trustworthy, but I really want to have some good friends. Am I going to? Probably not, because I'm going to reap what I've sown. So somebody has to go first, and if you start being a good friend, you're going to get some good friends. The last thing that I think girls do that is difficult is comparison, comparing. And the way I think this usually works, and I think ladies, grown ladies do this too, you go somewhere and you walk in the room and immediately you start looking around at all the other girls in the room and you think, "Shoot, I knew I shouldn't have worn jeans," or "I told my mom I should have been here 30 minutes ago and now Johnny's over there talking to Sally." You know, and God, I think I've gained like 5 pounds and everybody in here notices it. And why did I cut my hair so short? You know, and all that stuff, because I'm looking around the room and I'm sizing myself up with every other girl in the room. And the fact of the matter is, no matter where we go, no matter how young or old we are, there's always going to be somebody prettier. There's always going to be somebody a little bit more athletic. There's always going to be somebody smarter. And if you want to fall into that comparison trap, it's always going to hurt who you are inside. It's always going to make you insecure. Now, if that builds insecurity in us, who do you think that comes from? Satan. And it's just these little thoughts that we get that we never measure up. But you know what? The fact is, I don't have to be cuter than Mandy. I don't have to be cuter than Lynn. I don't have to be more fit than Amanda. I just have to be who God made me be. I have to look like He made me look. And I have to be the best me that I can be. But you know what? I can celebrate my strengths, and I can celebrate the strengths of my friends. And that's something that has changed me more than anything, is that even in my insecurity, I've started to try to look at my friends and say, "You know what? You are really one of the smartest people that I know. And you know what? I've seen good moms, but I think you're one of the best moms I've ever seen." And I look at my friends and I appreciate the gifts that God gave them. And when you start to do that, that's what deals with that insecurity that you have, because you start thinking, "I'm not her, and I don't have to be, but God did some good things with me too. And I'm just going to grow those strengths."